Willie, how are you firstly?
Yeah, good, thank you. You?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Did you manage to get a bit of a break in the end?
Yeah, it was good. Got few days away with the family, so it was nice.
Where did you end up going?
Oh, I'll keep that quiet. I don't. Yeah, I don't talk too much around where we went. Yeah,
Of course, that's totally fine. What about the players? How much have they benefited from getting a bit of time away?
yeah. We gave them a good 5 or 6 days. So, they needed it. They've had 24 days straight. 24 days, 24 weeks straight. It was a long. When you look at it, a tough grinding period for them every single week. A couple of derbies in there. We had a game against Wigan. We've played Leeds twice, St Helens twice. We've played semi-finals and cup finals. We've played massive games where, we needed to, in terms of people saying big games and win. So a lot of challenging games in and amongst that. It's a long period. So, we probably had one little dip, I think, against Lee where we probably weren't at our best, or, the levels of intensity weren't at our best. And so I think it's a credit to how the guys have turned up every week, because it was a tough grinding period there. But we've had a reset now, and the most important part is what we do in the back end of the season, which we're looking forward to doing.
What's the mood been like over the last couple of days? Is there a bit of sort of back to school excitement when the players return to training after the break?
Yeah, definitely. They have been. There's a real buzz to them, and we needed that break, and they needed to spend some time with their family and get away. And as the staff did as well, was really important, as I say, because it's been some challenges in amongst it. We've had some ups. Not too many downs in that period, as I said, but we've certainly needed to be on every single week, because every team that plays whole KR these days is up for that game, and the players have earned that right. Now they need to deliver every week, because it's like playing, Wigan and Penrith over there. Like, every team knows that you need to be up, and otherwise you're going to get beaten. So, I think we put ourselves in a strong position, similar to, where Wigan's and St Helens and, Leeds and Lee and teams like that, Warrington, who have been strong over the years, you need to play well to win.
You rested Elliot Minchella for the Catalans game. You spoke about possibly playing him in that, spiking him before this break. How much, upon reflection, do you think he needed that, and what has he said about getting a bit of time off as well?
Yeah, well, we've sort of managed the players. I think we've managed them quite well throughout the period. Sometimes it's forced in terms of, I think, there's some suspensions or injuries or, things like that. But, we've certainly give players time off. And with Elliot, we're going to look to give him some time off after the break. So have that break that everyone had, then, look to give him this week off, because I wanted to give him a 2-week period. I think it probably come a week earlier in hindsight, which is a wonderful thing. I saw against Lee, I probably saw him, he's given all he's gotten. He's played pretty much every week, so he needed some time off. So it was a decision that I made for him. He certainly didn't make it, and it was a decision that, as a coach, you've got to look at your players and go, where are they at? What do they need at this time? And what he needed was a rest, which he got. So he's come back into training in really good spirits and high energy about himself.
Are there any players that you perhaps previously or have subsequently considered giving a rest for this week in this game?
Look, we'll have a look back into the week and see where we're at. But, most players now have had some time off there. As I say, we'll have a look and see, if anyone does need some time off this week, or whether we just we crack on.
How well do you think the side did in Elliot Minchella's absence at Catalans?
Yeah, I thought put Dean Hadley at back row, prop, 13. He could start in all those positions. And that's what we want. We want to have players to step in, and it doesn't look too different. And I thought that was the case. Obviously Elliot's our captain, and, he's an important part to what we do. But I thought Dean Hadley stepped into that role exceptionally well, and gave us a similar sort of game to what Media gives us. They are Similar plays in a lot of ways, but they're different as well. So it was good to, for Dean to get that opportunity at 13. But as I say, Dean can start at prop. He could start in the back row. He could start at 13, or come off the bench, for 20 minutes and play the next 60, and he'll play the same role.
In terms of your players, when's Danny Richardson set to have an operation on that ankle injury?
Yeah, we just got to wait for clarification there, but it will be soon.
Have you had clarification on the tackle itself that led to the injury yet?
No, it was play on. Nothing. I just thought that was that a I think they call it a hanger tackle. Was it a hanger tackle or was it not? I think nothing happened off the back of it in terms of they didn't report, like it wasn't cited, so it was play on. I might have my opinion. My opinion doesn't matter.
Elsewhere, in terms of injuries, Nile Edwards has been ruled out for the rest of the season with a calf injury at Huddersfield. Where will he continue his recovery from that injury? At Huddersfield or back with you?
No, he's a Huddersfield player. Yeah.
Just on a personal level, how disappointed are you for him, given his season's been scuppered by injuries?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, injuries are unfortunately part of the game, and he got injured at Castleford, and then obviously he came over to us and he had a really, really good spell. Got himself, really fit. But as I say, like sometimes in rugby league, you can't help injuries. You can at times, but look, he's had an unfortunate run this year for, Nile. But no doubt when he gets back on the field, he's going to be an asset to Huddersfield. Obviously that looks like it'll be next season now, but he's still got a lot to give. There's no doubt about that. He was great for us and played an important part in helping us achieve what we did. Although we didn't win silverware, he was a major part in helping us reach a grand final and having a successful season last year. As I say, I think he'll do that, or I know he'll do that for Huddersfield once he gets his opportunity again, which more than likely will be next year.
Ahead of the Salford game, Jez Litten definitely back for this one? Yeah,
Jez will be back. So he was another one that we're going to look to give a rest at some stage, and that one was forced in terms of he had the HIA, so he'll be back this week.
And any other injuries at all heading into this game?
No, just the ones that we've had the longer term. So most guys refreshed and ready to go for this week.
We've spoken about the break from a physical perspective. How important was it to take momentum into it with the win and the performance at Catalans? Yeah,
it was really important. I think, you have a couple of losses, then, people start to say the wheels are falling off, they're wobbling, all that sort of stuff that goes with losses. But as I said, we had 24 weeks straight of big games. Leeds were in a position to win that. If we score a couple of tries, which we should have iced before half time, we go in and a healthy lead at half time. And then Lee was a performance that wasn't where we needed to be, but we're in that game for periods, and then they went away with it at the end. So to then go to the Catalans game off the back of that, if you have another loss, then obviously, then what comes with that is obviously more noise around, the wheels are falling off and all that, as I said before. So important to, that we've got ourselves back on track with a win, and then going into a break, because you've got a long time to think about your last game. That was, I think when we play Saturday, we go again next Thursday or this Thursday. It's a long time to think about a win, or it's a long time to think or reflect on a loss. So it was really important that we went away then, and mainly around everyone knew about us not winning in Catalans. Although we never spoke about it once, it's obviously there. But with the team that we've got, we seem to be able to overcome challenges that are put to us, and I think that's a credit to the group that we've got and the staff to make sure that we prepare the right way, because we went over there and did the job that we needed to do. And
getting that time together as a group in the south of France as well, off the back of the defeats and going into a break, what do you think that did for the team to get to spend that time together?
Yeah, I think we needed that, off the back of a couple of losses, and I'm massive on connection. I'm massive on on our group being as tight as possible. Like, you might have certain players, and it's in life, you're closer to some people than others, but as long as you've got a connection and respect, and you do whatever you can for that person, which a lot of the players in our team, they would for each other, and you can see that the way they play. It's important. So how do you build that? You build that by spending more time together, and you build that by doing things outside of training, and to be able to go over there and spend some time, or the players spend time with each other and staff to connect, I think was important, regardless of what stage in the season. But I think it was important after, as I say, a couple of losses and then going into a break. I think it was an important time for us to get away.
Where do you want to see improvements off the back of that win in terms of the performance?
Look, I want to see us improve in every way towards the back end of the season. Look, it's a pre-season, we had a really strong pre-season. It was only short, but we had a strong pre-season, and that holds you, for a long period of time. But the pre-season now is gone, and what we've done off the back of that, because we've had 24 weeks, it's what we do now going forward. So, it's important that we look at the next 8, 10, 12 weeks, and we put everything into, and the players put everything into being the most professional they can be, and it's got to be a priority. The next 10 to 12 weeks has got to be, along with family, it's got to be the most important thing to what we do, because it's not where you start, it's where you finish. And we've had a great year up until now, but again, it's no one remembers round 20 where you're sitting. It's where you're at the end of the season. So I want to see us improve in every area. I want us to get better in all areas of our game, and I want us to improve when we're away from the club, in terms of, professionalism and recovery and food and all that sort of stuff. That's not just a specific area of attack or defence or effort or whatever. It's everything.
Not the easiest of run-ins. How do you assess this final block of 8 games in terms of the end of the regular season?
Again, yeah, we've had challenges every week. I'm on here and we talk about this game's not easy. It's Super League. That's I heard Matt Pete talk about, when they've had a loss and then people are surprised, and I understand what he's saying. Like, we want this competition to be strong, and then when you do have the teams up the top have a loss, it's like the end of the world. Well, it's not that way. What I'm getting at here is every week's tough. We're going to Salford this week, an away game. If you look at Salford, the adversity that they've had, they've been in a lot of games up until half time, and they're probably a little bit different because they don't have the same team each week. But we know a challenge ahead that we've got this week. But then Castleford showed last week that they've beaten Warrington, and it's like the end of the world for in terms of people saying Warrington, they're not up to it this year and all that sort of stuff. But why? Castleford are a team that's building. Castleford's brought new players in. They're looking to build again next year. And so the point I'm getting at is every week's hard. Every single week's hard, regardless of what run we've got. You can look at anyone's draw. You don't look at it and say that's an easier draw than that, because I like to think now that the Super League's every week's difficult.
The Salford situation continues to rumble on, Willie. What have you made of how it's been handled?
None of my business, to be honest, mate. It was something that happened at the start of the year. If you want my honest opinion, it should have been handled at the start of the year. It should have been handled well before a ball was kicked, and I may have said that earlier on. But yeah, I feel for the players and I feel for the staff, but it's none of my business in terms of giving an opinion around that. This should have been handled and should have been sorted way before a ball was kicked off.
Given it has continued, how pleased have you been with the professionalism your side have shown in the 2 previous meetings against them?
Yeah, like I said, it doesn't matter who we play. I like to think this team prepares the same and prepares well. Doesn't matter what's in front, So the thing about Salford, when they did have their players playing, they were unpredictable, and they're still unpredictable, and that goes into whoever's going to be on the. We don't know who's going to be on the field, because Rolls is probably trying to work that out as well. He doesn't know what plays he's going to have, and he's been doing a great job, which he's done all year through a challenging period, to get that team competing every week. They'll compete again this week. We've just got to make sure that we perform at our best, and we've got no excuse after a week off.
How do you plan for it, given the uncertainty at their end? How do you try and best prepare, given you may not know what you face?
Yeah, again, a similar process to how we'd normally plan for a game, and that's we always preview teams, and we'll always look at what we think they're going to bring or what we've seen, but it's mainly around looking at us, and I think that's the best way to plan for. Well, that's how I like to plan is getting your end right and getting our end right, because you can't control someone else and other teams, and especially this week where you don't know. Yeah, we'll get an idea of who's going to play, but there'll be different players playing from who played last game. That's for sure. So how we plan is worry about ourselves.
It's a bit of a dangerous game coming off the back of a break in that regard.
They're all dangerous, as I said before. Every game's dangerous. Doesn't matter who you play in the Super League. Again, it's how you prepare and what your mindset's like. Or every game can be dangerous, should I say? It's but again, it's how you prepare.
Willie, thanks for your time. I'll pass you on.
Cheers, Ollie.
Hi, Willie. Hope you're well. I'll jump in for a few.
Hey, Josh. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, thank you. Just for context, did everyone return to training today, or was it late last week or over the weekend?
No, yesterday. Yeah, we had a session yesterday. Obviously, playing Thursday, so we like to get 2 sessions in, and then the captain's run, so 3 sessions in total.
Cheers for that. I just wanted to ask you on Ribadura. I think he's played the last 4 games at Bradford. Have you been keeping an eye on the youngster over there and in communication with Brian Noble and his performances?
Yeah, no, we look at Aribi and watch how he's playing. So, it's difficult because when we've got all our players and forwards in, there's which every squad wants to have. You've got depth there. So, Aribi's going to get another opportunity, and we're just going to work out when that is. And at the moment, he's playing, which is the main thing for his development. He's comfortable at Bradford. He knows the environment. They love him over there. He's our player, and he'll certainly play a part at some stage.
Yeah, I'll ask on that then. Does he come in contention for this week, or is that long period sort of week by week now when he'll stay at Bradford for the foreseeable future?
Yeah, this week he won't. This week at this stage he'll go there. He'll play there. But we'll look at the next sort of few weeks and see what that looks like.
And just on your team, with 8 games left, is it about raising those levels and making sure you are playoff intensity ready, no matter the opposition across the next 8 weeks? It's all about internally raising those levels and the intensity. Is that the ultimate challenge for your players?
Yeah, I think the key, as I said before, the key's peaking at the right time. We've been up for the majority of this season, but at the end of the day, you need to peak at the end. So that's the most important thing for us. So we'll tailor our program around that, making sure that we keep raising the levels at training and then and raising the levels in games. But the most important, I suppose, time to peak is around that semi-final and grand final time. But that's not to say that we're not going out this week and next week and the week after to play at the levels or the high levels that we want to. It's just building your program so you do peak at the right time.
You've had such an impressive season so far. Is it almost exciting as a head coach knowing that there is more to come from your players? Yeah,
as I said before, we're happy of what we've done, but we're not the finished product. We need to make sure that we, as I said, we keep raising levels and peak at the right time, and that will be hopefully in 10 weeks' time. Playing in the big games at the end of the year. So we've all we can look at and all we look at is our next job. Our next job's this week, this Thursday against Salford, and that's the most important game at the moment.
Perfect. Thanks, Willie. Pass you on. Best of luck.
Cheers, Josh. Thanks, mate.
Hi, Willie. How are you doing? Ben from Rugby League.
Hey, Ben. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good. Thanks, mate. Oh, you had a good rest over the sort of break.
Thank you, mate.
I guess you're closing in now on sealing that home semi-final. How much is that the focus now over these next 4 or 5 weeks to make sure, first and foremost, you get that?
Yeah, I mean, history tells you that it's really important to get a home semi-final. Now, if you don't get one, doesn't mean your season's gone. You can still, play in a grand final. If you don't get a home semi, but it's important. I think you look at the games now. As I said before, every game's a big game in the Super League, and especially the back end of the year. So to get that week off certainly helps. But not looking too far ahead. We're in a position to to win a league leader shield. So we want to go after that. Obviously, if we achieve that, you're going to get a home semi. If you don't achieve that, then you're still a chance by coming second, or by finishing second, should I say. So again, if you start looking at the end, you get overwhelmed and you start missing what the most important thing is, and that's your narrow focus, which is Salford. So that's all we're looking at the moment. And I know it's cliche, but it is. It's taken week to week. You have to, because otherwise, if you look too far down, then you miss the most important thing of what's in front of you.
Yeah, I guess that's 100% understandable. But did you feel the power of that home semi last year? Obviously, you managed to secure one and go over the line at Craven Park there.
Yeah, it's important. I mean, if you look at last year, the two teams that had the home semi made the grand final. So, year before, Catalans and Wigan, So, I'm not sure we can keep going back, but they're the last 2 years that I've been over here. So, it's important.
And just lastly, want to sort of clarify then, you mentioned Nile levels earlier. Obviously, Nile's only on loan at the moment, but is he a Huddersfield player beyond the end of this season? I take it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't want to give information out of that. I'm not too sure why things haven't been. Because initially, when Nile left our club, he's left our club. So, basically, Nile won't be with us for 2026. So I don't want to speak on Nile's behalf or on Huddersfield's behalf on where he is for next year. But Nile was aware of that as well.
No problem. Good luck.
Cheers. Thanks, mate.
Hi, Willie. You all right?
Hey, Sam. Good, mate.
Just one quick one. Over the last week, it was confirmed that the quota spots are going up to 10. Presumably, you're spent up for 26. Does that not really affect you? And when it does affect you, is it more in planning for 27 and on? Yeah,
mate. At this stage, it is. Because we've, as I said previously, we're organised in terms of recruit when it comes to recruitment and planning. On this occasion, it's coming late. As I said before, it's probably something that needs to be. You need to get at least a couple of years notification on it, so you can plan. It was just sort of put on us this year. As I said, that's going to benefit clubs that have a lot of cap space who are ready, who haven't organised 2026. But you'll find, I'm sure, teams like Wigan and Leeds and stuff will be, majority of their players would be already on the books for next year, and that's a good thing for us. We're comfortable in that, but at the end of the day, it's players need to work hard and perform and make sure now, because it does broaden it and open it up to a wider market, where I think before it was more narrow, and because there was criteria to get over here and all that sort of thing. So at this stage, we're okay for 26, and we'll be looking more so for 27. But rugby league changes and evolves in terms of recruitment. It's always ongoing, and it's just something we'll keep looking at. But at this stage, we're okay.
So I suppose the flexibility it adds is that come 2026, if say pick up a knock or something, you can maybe find a little bit of wiggle room, like parachuting a player from the Q Cup or the New South Wales Cup or something like that, is it?
Yeah, look, I mean, we'll always look within. We'll look locally, but as I said, the market broadens now because you can look to those sort of players. I mean, you can look. Yeah, you got another 3 spots that you can fill in terms of quota, but it helps because a lot of the time over here. So props, for example, English props. They're hard to come by. So now it opens it up to go. Okay, well, what's out there if there's no English props available? And so it gives you a wider market to be able to look for, over in Australia or wherever it may be. But as I said, we're okay now.